You know, I started today's sermon with really an animal analogy of the deer. We saw that in Psalm 42:1, as the deer pants for the water. But I want to end today's sermon with another animal. You see, while the deer runs on the land and is parched and is panting, God hasn't called you to be a deer. In fact, the animal I want to talk to you about is an eagle. You see, an eagle can soar in the sky. And in Isaiah chapter 40, it puts it this way. We saw Psalm 40, but listen to Isaiah 40, verse 11. It says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." It says that those who hope on the Lord will get a second wind. They will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. I'm here to tell someone today that you no longer have to be faint. You no longer have to just walk. You no longer have to run panting and parched, but you will fly like an eagle. You will soar in the way God has created you with his wind beneath your wings. I'm here to tell someone today that the word hope stands for holy optimism based on positive expectations. Holy optimism based on positive expectations. There's a story of a baby eagle that was up in a nest, and when the mother eagle flew away, the baby eagle's egg fell down into a patch of prairie chickens. And when he came out of his shell, he looked around and all he saw were prairie chickens. And so that little baby eagle thought he was what? A prairie chicken. And so when he went out with his fellow prairie chickens to go walk on the prairie, one day he looked up and he saw this beautiful creature soaring through the sky. And he said to his fellow prairie chickens, "I want to do that. I want to fly." And his prairie chicken brothers and sisters said, "You can't fly because you're a prairie chicken, and prairie chickens can't fly." But many of you know that the issue wasn't about his ability. The issue was about his mentality. He didn't know what he was purposed to do. That little eagle didn't know what God had planned for him. Because he was in a patch of prairie chickens, he thought he was limited like a prairie chicken. The reality is you can do more than whatever you think you can do because God has put his spirit in you. The bottom line is some of you need to get away from the prairie chickens you've been hanging with. And God has used this pandemic to give you a new crowd, to give you new connections, to take you into a new level of flight. And God wants you to soar and not sink. When all hope is gone, the God of hope is not. Put your hope in God. Stop listening to the other prairie chickens that cannot fly around you. Get with those who know how to lift their wings. And so that little eagle got up on a rock and jumped off, and he fell down. But then he climbed a tree and got on a branch, jumped off, and he fell down. And then he crawled up that tree again, jumped off, and before you know it, he lifted up his wings, and air came up under him, and then he fell down. And so he climbed all the way to the top of the tree, and then he jumped off. And when he was high enough, the wind blew up under his wings, and he began to fly, and he began to soar, and he began to soar over the other prairie chickens because he began to live out his potential, because he realized that sometimes God will take you through a prairie chicken patch to show you what life is like on the land, what life is like to pant and to be parched. But if you will trust God, if you will believe God, you will realize you don't have to stay on the ground, but you can soar like an eagle. Friends, I'm here to tell you today, put your hope in God.